Most people believe that when you die, everything simply ends. No second chances, no new beginnings. But for me, death was only the start. My name used to be Ethan Cruz, and back on Earth, I lived the most ordinary life imaginable. Wake up, go to work, stare at a computer for 10 hours, go home, repeat. I worked in a small office, answering emails and attending meetings that could have been messages. Every day felt exactly the same. I always thought my life would continue like that forever. Boring, predictable, safe. But fate had other plans. Because one rainy night, on my way home from work, everything changed. The rain was pouring heavily that night. Streetlights blurred through the water running down my glasses. I was distracted, scrolling through my phone. Just one more notification. Just one more message. Then suddenly, a loud horn blasted through the air. I looked up. Bright headlights rushed toward me. Everything happened too fast. The screech of tires, people shouting, and then darkness. No pain, no sound, just emptiness. I thought that was the end. But when I opened my eyes again, I realized I was very, very wrong. When my vision returned, the first thing I noticed was the sky. It was unbelievably clear. No city lights, no pollution, just endless blue. Then I felt the grass beneath my hands. Grass? Slowly I sat up. Surrounding me were tall trees and a quiet forest. Birds chirped in the distance. The air smelled fresh and natural. This wasn't a hospital. This wasn't my city. This wasn't even Earth. In the distance, I heard something approaching. Hoofbeats. When I looked toward the road, I saw a group of armored men riding horses. Horses. Not cars, not motorcycles. Horses. That was when reality finally hit me. I had been reborn into another world. While I was still trying to understand what happened, something strange appeared in front of me, a glowing blue screen, floating in midair. At first I thought I was hallucinating, but then words began to appear. Merchant system activated. My heart started racing. More text appeared. Welcome, interdimensional merchant ability unlocked. Sell modern items in this world. I blinked in disbelief. Then a list appeared. Soap, flashlight, instant noodles, lighters, toothbrushes, smartphones. My jaw dropped. This system was giving me access to modern products from Earth. And suddenly I realized something incredible. In a world where technology doesn't exist, even the simplest modern item would seem like magic. After walking for nearly an hour, I finally found a small village. The houses were made of wood and stone. Smoke rose from chimneys. People carried water buckets from a well. Children played in the dirt. It looked exactly like something from the medieval era. No electricity, no machines, no modern tools. Everything was slow and primitive. Then I noticed something interesting. A man was kneeling beside a pile of wood, trying to start a fire using 2 stones. He had been struggling for several minutes. That's when an idea crossed my mind. I quietly opened the merchant system, purchased 1 item, and walked toward him. The man looked up as I approached. "What are you doing?" he asked suspiciously. Instead of answering, I held out the small metal lighter. Then I flicked it open. Click. A flame instantly appeared. The man jumped backward in shock. Magic! Within seconds, nearby villagers rushed over. Everyone stared at the tiny flame like it was some sacred artifact. One woman whispered, "Is he a wizard?" I almost laughed. But instead I simply said, "No, I'm just a merchant." And that moment was the beginning of everything. The next day, I opened my first shop. Well, calling it a shop might be generous. It was just a small wooden stall in the village market. But the products were unlike anything this world had ever seen. Soap that cleaned dirt instantly. Flashlights that created light with the press of a button. Instant noodles that cooked in minutes. At first, people were cautious. But once the first few villagers tried the products, word spread quickly. By the end of the day, a long line had formed in front of my stall, and just like that, my business had begun. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. My stall grew into a shop. My shop grew into a trading house. Merchants from neighboring towns traveled days just to see my products. Nobles started sending servants to buy my goods. The system continued unlocking new items: solar lamps, medical kits, cooking tools. Every new product changed people's lives. But something else was happening too. Rumors, stories began spreading across the kingdom. People started calling me the merchant of miracles. However, success always attracts attention. One evening, a group of armored knights arrived in the village. Their banners carried the royal symbol. The villagers immediately stepped aside. The captain approached my shop. "You are the merchant selling impossible items?" I nodded slowly. He studied the products carefully. Then he said something that made my heart sink. "The king wishes to meet you." And suddenly, my quiet life as a village merchant was about to become much more dangerous. Standing there, surrounded by royal soldiers, I realized something important. My little merchant business had grown far bigger than I expected, too big to stay hidden. Now the king himself wanted to see me. But the real question was, would he see me as a valuable ally or a dangerous threat? Because in a world without technology, someone who controls modern knowledge might be the most powerful person alive. And this story is only just beginning.